Let's take a look at the felon over the next 6 months and see what we can get. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, to everybody who likes, watches, comments on the videos. If you've been promoting the channel in any way, a thank you, thank you, thank you. It has not gone unnoticed. If you've donated money to the channel through Venmo, Buy Me a Coffee, the super thanks, a huge, huge thank you. It's all greatly appreciated. I had a great vacation, and now I'm back to our usual location, and I am recording this on the morning of June 2nd. I was going to put out a June predictions video. Um, I didn't really have a lot of time to scry on that, although my instincts are it's going to be very similar to May. There's going to be a lot of chaos with the felon. There's going to be a lot of public outrage towards certain things. I do think that the bill does, as it makes its way through the Senate, will get changed. We'll look into that more specifically later this week. Um, as I was coming home, I was getting some clairvoyant images that was kind of compelling me to think more and more about the felon's health. Where's that going? We all know that he's in cognitive decline. We all know that it feels to me the end is August, September, October, maybe November, kind of in that time frame. Let's see if we can't nail that down a little bit more. So I thought we'd go month by month for the next 6 months. And I do it a little bit different than the 6 month readings that I've been doing. I think I'll just do a normal spread for each of the months and throw some clarifying cards on it if something comes to me. So I do think something is going to happen in June that is going to be um, a real turning point to being the beginning of the end of MAGA and the felon. I also think there's going to be some health incidents as well. I think a lot of this has to do with the legislation that they're trying to pass. And a lot of it just has to do with how crazy they're sounding. CNN posted something about Curtis Yarvon. Don't worry about that. I've looked into it many times. There's just nothing there. It's a scare tactic that the media is employing to get clicks, and unfortunately some other people as well. I just don't think there's anything there, just like I don't think there's really anything with Stephen Miller as well. Um, I mean, they're there, but I don't think that they'll ever have any power. But we'll look into that more, perhaps later on in the week. But the CNN article, it's just about getting people to subscribe to pay for their channel now, right? Because you have to pay to read CNN.com. That tells you the state of the media, right? People are turned off so much by the media that they're turning to um, a needing to be paid to write articles. And what are they writing articles about? They're writing articles about things that'll scare you so that you'll click on them. So I hope you never feel that way about this channel. I never intend to scare you or try to mislead you to click on the videos. I try to make them exactly about what I say they're about. So, okay, so the felon in June will go month by month. The parade's going to be a disaster. Um, Possible it gets there. It's possible they talk about scaling it back to save face, but the truth is, um, that will be just to save face. I don't think that's gonna happen. Let me see. Um, there's the event in Chicago to celebrate the White Sox, and the Pope is gonna speak on that same date. I think that there will be protests around that date. I think there's going to be more and more disdain for Republicans as they do their town halls in June. Let's see. Let's just see what's going on with the felon in June. I'm going to use the stack. Okay. So what do we need to know about the felon? In particular, his health, his popularity, those type of things. What do we need to know about the felon in chief? Yeah, so the word angry is in the water of the scrying bowl. Uh, I don't think it's going to be a good month for him. I think he's going to be angry most of the month. The military came out and said that the military parade would cause about $16 million worth of damage to the roads in Washington, D.C. I think stories like that, they unnerve him slightly. I also saw some crazy YouTube propaganda. The felon hitting a 325-yard drive in golf. I can guarantee you, he cannot hit the ball that far. I used to play golf when I was young, and um, there's no way that that's accurate. So it's almost like it's this Kim Jong Il. Was that Kim Jong Un's father, Kim Jong Il? He reportedly played, 18 holes of golf and shot 18, meaning he made a hole in one on every hole. They're getting so desperate that they're propping him up with unbelievable stories that only the MAGA of the MAGA will fall for. As I was pulling into our driveway, I saw our neighbor that had been fired from the Park Service, and he came over to chat at me real quickly. And he's thoroughly disgusted by this parade and by the bill that went through the House. And he went from full MAGA to kind of like a Democrat almost. I wouldn't go quite that far, but okay, what do we need to know about the felon in chief? I think it's an odd thing, but there's an incident with him getting his shoes on. I'm not sure if he can't put his shoes on by himself anymore. Uh, I think, yeah, I don't think he's able to put his shoes on by himself anymore. This is new. I mean, I think maybe it's been going on for a while, but it's like the feeling is like a realization of aging. Something wrong with something wrong with his balance as well. Let's see what the cards can tell us. I don't know if they're slipping something into his shoes to make them so that he doesn't lean forward as much. A lot of arguing going on in June. The Five of Wands. Um, I think this is just Congress and the felon fighting. I don't think this is good for his health, but I think there's a lot of arguing back and forth about what should be done with the budget. I think the negotiations will be tense. We get the star card and the environment around, and you know, pulling the star card several times in this position, I'm starting just to think that the star card is about the American people hoping that this time period is over. I really think that's what that's about. We get the voters in the upper right. That's kind of confirmation that that's what it's about. Something coming forward about his health. The Knight of Pentacles, of course, it's like something's discovered almost. If you look at the imagery, the knight sees the pentacle and the crook of the tree and discovers the pentacle. So there's some sort of new health discovery happening in June. I'm not sure whether we find out about it. We'll have to keep going. The courts are going to continue to make him very angry with the Hierophant, as will the Pope. So the Hierophant's all about the church, the Pope, the courts, the Supreme Court. Um, they are giving him some victories. Don't get me wrong, the Supreme Court's not as good as we'd like, but on the big picture, they're getting well, maybe they're not getting it exactly right, but they're getting a lot of it right. That's two fives, by the way. Fives are about change. So this is going to be a big month. It's going to change a lot of attitudes. With the Ten of Wands, burdens, um, in the environment around. This is the people feeling the burdens of what the government is doing. And the kind of slapstick, it's not the right word, the kind of feels like we're being slapped across the face this way, then that way, with all these tariffs on, tariffs off, the taco trades as they've been coined. I think they're starting to really wear on people in June. We get the world, the end of a cycle. I think, yeah, I mean, I think by the time June rolls to the end, I think his influence has severely waned. We had Marjorie Taylor Greene even talking about how 2026 was going to be a wipeout for Republicans. We get the Ten of Swords. That's the third 10. I'm sorry, no, the second 10. The Ten of Swords, complete and utter downfall, the feeling of being misled. This is the before tarot, so it's like that energy is building. The energy of his downfall is building in June. And then we get, well, here's the third 10. So there you go. The Ten of Cups, families, reunions, celebrations, coming out from the rain, right? They're running in from the rain here. So there's a whole bunch of fighting going on, and with the felon's party and with how to handle him. The courts are really making him angry. Why are the courts making him angry? They're actually making him angry by protecting some rights. So this shadowy type, like, we're going to let you do this, but not rule on the merits of the case. I think they'll start to come back and haunt them as lower courts start to put injunctions in place. It's the beginning of the end in June. Um, Partly because of the courts and the Pope and the church, people start to see through it, especially when he starts attacking the Pope. And I strongly feel that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I strongly feel he's going to start attacking the Pope. And that's when people's minds start to really shift into um, a different mindset about his stability. In the environment around, we have the Star card. I think this is people hoping the cycle is over. People are feeling the burdens, or they're getting ready to start feeling the burdens. I think we're going to discover something new about his health. I think this is towards the end of the month. And I think ultimately that leads to people viewing him in a state of decline towards the end of the month. of June. The fourth 10, the 10 of Pentacles. It's about inheritance, it's about money. It's about, again, it's about the end of a cycle. It's about him starting to think a little bit about what he's going to leave his kids. This has been going on in his mind for a while. The truth is about to emerge, which is going to scare a lot of people. And this Queen of Wands, I feel like this is some sort of female prosecutorial type energy, like a Letitia James. It could be it could be Amy Coney Barrett, though. I think she's going to surprise people with some of her decisions as well. So I think June is just kind of setting things up for what's about to come. Okay, let's move to July. What's going to happen for the felon in July? Shows felon in July. Like something happens with one of his golf courses. Okay. So if you remember my 2025 predictions, there's going to be a lot of severe weather. I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but just be aware. Um, be safe. Um, check the weather before, going to sleep, that kind of thing. I feel like something might happen to one of his golf courses. I feel like it's weather related. Too early. July's a little early for hurricane season, I think, but maybe towards the end. It feels like tornadoes. It feels like it's in Florida. Again, not to scare people, but these tornadoes are going to be bad this summer and into the fall. So be prepared. They've already been horribly bad. There was a tornado about 50 miles from where we live yesterday. So, and I don't think it was even reported on the news because they're becoming so common. July's going to be some wildfires. His response to them, though, is going to make people do a double take. He might even use the Canadian wildfires to threaten Canada. I think they'll still be going on in July as well. Going to be some serious issues with the electrical grid. With the electrical grid in California and in Texas. But he's going to say something like, like it's not the federal government's job to step in, even though it is. July's going to be a hard month. Let's see what we can get on the solid now. I keep getting weather related stuff. You see an image of Ivanka talking on the phone. And it's like one of these frantic type phone calls. We get the Hierophant again, the church, the Pope, the courts. This time's in the upper left rather than in the center. Um, so the courts are going to continue to influence things through July. He's going to say a bunch of crazy things. The courts are going to, in some sense, save him from himself, but there's more to there. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles, having everything that he needs with respect to his health, meaning healthcare workers, caregivers. I'm drawn back to when he said after his checkup at Walter Reed that his soul was good. Um, I don't think he's as self-reflective as most people, well, as almost anybody, but I'm getting this draw towards like he's kind of scared in July. Like he's scared. Here's this Queen of Wands, this prosecutorial energy. Doesn't matter whether he's scared or his health is in decline, the world is going to continue. People are going to investigate. If they're investigating, they're not going to stop. We get the Star card again and the environment around again. This feels like the people just wishing and hoping and praying that this time period ends. It's that hanged man type of energy that we talked about in the one reading. The Seven of Pentacles, seeds have been planted. People are starting to make up their mind about his health. We get the Democrats and the environment around. So this is in July, so there should be a ramping up of the elections in Virginia and New Jersey. Giving and receiving of loans and debts, the Six of Pentacles in the lower left. I think people are going to realize this transactionary. Somebody put a comment that, there's crazy comments on this channel all the time, but comment, oh, he's just negotiating to get the best deal for us. I mean, really? The man has zero skills at negotiation, nor the mental capacity to even understand what the word means. So I don't think that this is some sort of skilled negotiation, the Six of Pentacles. I think what it is more likely is people getting angry by the deals that are being established, people being angry by the budget deal that probably by this time has passed. Again, there's going to be cuts. They're not going to be as bad as the stuff coming out of the House. Uh, I don't think people need to be worried about not getting their Social Security or their SSI. If you're already getting it, I think it'll be okay. With the greedy merchant, people are going to start to see the Republican Party as being out for the rich. Now, most of us already see that, but I think it's going to become more and more prevalent. And we get the Chariot card. Okay. I think the Pope starts planting the seeds that what's going on in the United States with respect to the felons immigration policy is human trafficking. I think the Pope might not use those exact words, but will make it very clear that he thinks it's immoral, amoral. The populace is going to be upset about the giving and receiving of things of value, for example, pardoning tax evaders, yet prosecuting peaceful protesters. These type of things start to really wane on people. And they plant the seeds for this female prosecutorial energy to come in to investigate more. In the environment around in July, people are seeing him as very greedy. People again are hoping that this time period's over. People are starting to see that his health is waning, but he also has good health care. And the Democrats start to come a little bit more into focus in July. I don't know if somebody announces they're running for president or if it's just the Virginia and New Jersey elections. Justice, the world starts to balance itself out a little bit. This also could be karmic justice for the felon. Some partnerships that we discover that we didn't know about, perhaps, which lead to some guardrails being established. Again, the Nine of Wands is going to be a very important card for the next several months. And something's also revealed about Elon Musk. Maybe why the partnership between Musk and the felon happened in the first place. Yeah. So July feels like a very scary month for the felon. Like his energy's scared. He's I think he's concerned about his health, but he's also um, concerned about his influence. For the populace, July feels like weather's a big problem in July. So yeah. All right. So August, I think this is when things start to go downhill, but let's see what the cards say. What do we need to know about the felon in August? I think there's going to be an incident that he's very much blamed for in August. I don't know if it's a big strike that takes place. Feels like a strike. Feels like it might involve education on a state level. Like teachers fighting back in Oklahoma. Parents are already suing to opt their kids out of social studies because that crazy Ryan Walters wants to teach that the 2020 election was stolen. And you can already opt out of science in Oklahoma, so because you can't learn about evolution, because that would be terrible. Education really comes into focus in August, and it's in a very negative light. Linda McMahon, I think, will be taking a lot of heat as education secretary, but I think the felon will be taking the most of it. Um, I think we'll hear some very fiery and intense school board meetings. I think we'll hear of teachers going on strikes. A little bit in higher education as well, although that'll be more tempered. Something comes out about his health, but it's not just his health, it's also the health of the economy, the health of the country, the health of the education system, all of these things. It's like a huge wake up call that not only is he not healthy, but he's made things unhealthy for the children. people really start to walk away from him, this idea altogether. Of course, there'll be the extreme states like Oklahoma that will follow along. Again, the star card, and I really feel like this is the public just hoping and praying this we get through this. I don't think it's any sort of protection for him. The world card, again, the end of a cycle. It's almost like the public wakes up when they get ready to send their kids back to school and realize that we've lost a lot, not just in terms of freedoms, but in terms of the economy. Um, People are mad in August. He was scared in July, but people are mad in August. Maybe he knew this was coming. The center of the reading is a new financial reality, a new reality around his health, a new reality around the health of the country, a new realization. Yeah, it's inevitable. The end of the cycle is inevitable by this point in August, with the Three of Wands. Get the greedy merchant, the oligarchy, if you wish, the Nine of Cups. Not all billionaires are made equal, by the way. I'm certainly not endorsing anybody, but if Democrats want to help get rid of the felon, I'm all for it. Again, the Queen of Wands, I think has been every reading that prosecutorial type female energies definitely flying around in the environment around at this point. There's lots of investigations on the state level, and we get strength in the lower left. So people realize he's ill, that the economy's ill, that the country's ill. It's a new beginning, a new way of thinking in August. It's a new economic reality. But people also realize that we'll be stronger without him. Greed is at center stage, and that is what is being blamed for the new financial reality. And that makes people hope that this cycle ends rather quickly. I don't know that by the time we're in August, I think it does, but let's keep going. Again, I think there's investigations into a lot of things. It's inevitable, the Three of Wands, that people start to turn away from him and that his power continues to wane and is heading towards being non-existent. There's isolation, feeling alone for him, the felon. He very much feels like he's being wounded, that he's been wounded. Something about the Chariot card, the trafficking of human beings really comes into focus in August. There's a lot of anxiety in the country. And anxiety might not be quite the right word. There's a lot of sleepless nights, but it's like, I don't know if anxiety is the right word. It's like people are so angry that they're having a hard time sleeping. They're angry because they're worried about how they're going to afford certain things, school supplies, for example. Um, People see the juggling of money and overseas influence and what it is at this point, and they feel like the country's in decline and that it's going to take a lot of heavy lifting to get it back on track. And people start to mourn the things that we've lost in August. Now, people on this channel are already mourning these things, but it becomes more apparent to others. The summer is often a time for that people just their kids play sports, they watch sports, they play sports, and they don't particularly pay attention. And then when they have to go buy notebooks, for example, I bought, these little, like 70-page notebooks. I mean, they used to be like 29 cents, right? And this is like $1.19, which is insane. So things like that, I think, really start to add up. Okay. What about August? No, that was August. What about September? You get a very clear image of the moon in the water. Of course, we have an eclipse in September. The felon was born on an eclipse. We have both a lunar and solar eclipse. Of course, they come in pairs. This isn't coincidental. The moon often represents volatility, can represent change. Still feels like people are really angry. I think there might be teacher strikes still going on. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think they're mostly in blue states. Like forcing governors to stand up to the administration when it comes to what will be taught, what won't be taught. Just heard the phrase, you're a loser. It's like somebody might yell that at him. It might be on like there might be a video of somebody yelling, you're a loser at the felon. In September. People saying not to him, but in their homes, like, I wish he'd, just die already. That's where we're getting to. There's some immaturity. There's a spy in the camp. There's sabotage. People are over it in September. Again, the anxiety, the anger, the angst, the sleepless nights. Judgment. This makes me feel like this could possibly be the month he goes. Let's see what the other cards are. Blind choices. People feel like they don't know how to make good choices because everything feels unstable. I don't know that that's reality, by the way. I think that's just how it feels. I think I think once he goes, things stable up fairly quickly. Feeling confined, feeling trapped. The Eight of Swords. And he's got all the healthcare people that he needs, the Nine of Pentacles. Emotional messages coming forward. This could deal with immigration. Justice, things balancing out, things starting to head on the right track in September. despite him, not because of him. And people thinking about families. Everybody feels like they're walking on a tightrope. Everybody feels like they're trapped and confined, and everybody's worried about their families and particularly the children. We get a bunch of emotional messages about people that have been confined. I think this has to do with immigration, and people pass judgment about it. While he has everything he needs as far as healthcare goes, people feel like they're just blindly making choices. They're very concerned about things in September. But these sleepless nights and this anxiety, this angst, this anger, it kind of starts to level out in September. Like things start to improve, I feel, despite him or in spite of him. With the Justice card, there's something wrong with his heart. Um, that I think becomes a well-known fact. Again, um, giving and receiving of things of value. This could be medication. And then we get the World card, the end of the cycle that kind of feels like this might be the end. And we get the church and the Pope and the courts at the Hierophant. And then we get the full card, a new beginning. It feels like it's the end to me. Like he goes at some point. But let's see what October says, and then in November, and we'll see. It kind of feels like September's the month that if he's not gone, it's well known that he will be going. Um, let's see. I'm going to use this deck. So this is the Unveiled Tarot. What do we need to know about the felon and it's like this is it's like the crisp autumn air brings like this sense of I can breathe again. It's like this is the World card again, the end of a cycle. Where are those other cards? And the cycle isolation, and the King of Swords, and the Moon card. Um, it's like people start to feel that things are easier. Like the something about, like if you have like a stuffy nose, sometimes being out in the cold air can make it easier to breathe, or like if your nose is like if you take a lot of allergy medicine, like I sometimes do, the cold air can feel good. It's kind of like that feeling in October. Something has happened either in September or at the very beginning of October or thereabouts. Excuse me. That brings upon a feeling of newness, and this of course is the felon and this deck for me, and this image of the hospital bed is not lost. I just happened to notice them when I was flipping them up and looked at the screen to make sure the camera was doing the thing it was supposed to be doing. Yeah, I think we either know he's about to exit or he already has. See an image of the Pope. Um, I don't know if he's like addressing the world. Something inevitable has happened or will happen in October. I mean, has happened in September or will happen in October. The Wheel of Fortune, it kind of feels a little bit like we're gambling, but we're willing to take the gamble because what we had in the past was so bad that we're willing to kind of see where things go now that he's gone. I really feel like he's gone. He's gone. I feel like he's gone. We get the card for the voters. I think the voters become more influential once he's gone. I think politicians start listening to voters. I don't know that that changes the outcome of things, but the Page of Swords, this could be, a saboteur, an assassin. It could be some immaturity. It could be some, Schadenfreude celebrations in the street after he goes. Some bombshells and surprises at the center of the reading. So whatever happened, it's going to be surprising to a lot of people, not to everybody, but to a lot of people. Um, and we get the Empress and the environment around. I think this is Russia. I think um, after the felon goes, the stance towards Russia completely changes for the United States. Something very wrong with his heart, the Three of Swords again. I don't know if we learn that or if it's happening in this month. It's a little uncertain to me. We get temperance, a return to moderation in the environment around. And we get the Chariot card. Perhaps information coming forward about the trafficking. So it's inevitable that there's going to be some sort of big bombshell and surprise in October about human trafficking for entertainment purposes only. There's something wrong with his heart, which comes as a surprise to a lot of people, but ultimately comes as a relief to the voters. And I think that was what that crisp autumn air is about. It's an uncertain future in the United States because we're going to change leaders, but I think a lot of people are feeling like it can't get much worse. And I don't think it does get worse. I know everybody, there's several of you that are going to disagree with me in the comments, but that's just what I see. It's like the spy in the camp is kind of like, possibly Vance in the sense that Vance isn't going to continue his policies. In particular, the stance on Russia is going to change dramatically. And we're going to return to something a little bit more moderate. And underneath, we start thinking about the next generation. Yeah, he's gone by this point. Um, it's like a victory for the people, the six of wands, and it's like guardrails get put back into place. Why are they back into place? Because of his ill health and his death. Yeah. And so we return to families and celebrations. So September, October feels, I mean, timing's really hard on these things, but I had the images where there were the autumn decorations in a shopping cart that seems to align with September, October-ish. Okay, we'll throw cards for November, but I feel like he's already gone by the time November comes around. But do we need to know about the felon in the country in November? What do we need to know? Maybe we can just get some confirmation. Okay, I've seen big gathering for Thanksgiving, people laughing, joking around. Seems like a very non-traditional family unit. Um, like even neighbors gathering for Thanksgiving, celebrating. it's a different feel altogether. There's lots of food on the table, lots of desserts. November has a completely different feel. I said this months and months ago that the felon really wouldn't accomplish anything, and I meant legislatively, and I think that's still the case. And a lot of the stuff that's going to be in the budget bill doesn't take effect right away, so a lot of it can kind of be pared back and undone. And or whatever the Senate does to it, it's like it gets more pared back. It's November seems like a very celebratory feel. People getting ready for the winter holidays. Money's still a concern, but not as much. I'm pretty sure the felon is gone. Republicans will be defending their actions, the Seven of Wands. But yeah, this is the circles of support and celebration that I'm talking about around Thanksgiving. People just, the mood is just a lot lighter. It's like logic has come back. Leaders are acting based on the truth or a better replica of the truth than what is currently they're operating on. Yeah, people are going to wonder about how long he had been sick. The Four of Swords and the environment around. That's going to be a lot of talk. How long had he really been sick? The World card, the end of a cycle, the beginning of something completely new in November. I think we pulled the World card at almost every month. Here he is in the environment around. People are going to be talking about him. He's not actually there anymore, though. People are just talking about him. And like in this, like, oh, thank goodness he's gone. This big exhale. We have Russia. I think, again, this just reinforces that the stance towards Russia changes. It'll feel like things are moving forward with the Eight of Wands and the Devil card, but it's in a really good position. So the Devil card is about mis and disinformation. So Republicans are going to be defending themselves based on the previous cycle, the cycle before this happened. What are they defending themselves against? They're defending themselves against embracing the mis and disinformation, the enslavement of people. So it's actually a really uh, good cards. The US's vantage point till Russia changes completely and it returns to something that's more based on the truth and based on logic. Meanwhile, the felon will be top of mind, but it'll be questions about how long was he sick. It'll be celebrations because he's gone. And it'll be some excitement that we're moving forward. The Eight of Wands. Underneath circles of support around money, I think people are going to still need help, but it's there. Repayments of loans and debts, and uh, like a newfound security. And people very much are going to pass judgment on the felon, and they'll still be fiery messages coming forward, but people are going to feel like the burdens are almost over and it's time to lay a lot of them down. So, uh, November is a big month energetically, it feels, but it all starts in September. Not exactly sure when the end is. It's either September right into October. It's like in that range. So, all right. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Thank